everybody. Hi, Diane. Hi, Teresa. And Bethany is still connecting here. When I started making masks, I thought, I have a skill I can use in this pandemic. I can sew. I've been sewing since I was a child. I've got this down. I didn't know a whole lot of other things, how long this would be going on, the intensity of my phone discussions with so many people. What is the supply chain? And so I asked my daughter, who has an MBA, what a supply chain was. And she says the process of moving goods from manufacturers to end consumers. And then there are things like sub-chains as well. And I think that what I was thinking of as supply chains are sometimes sub-chains as well. Or, yeah, that's all right. We won't go into that part. We leave that for David Beauvais. My friend Sarah Russell sent me several mask patterns. I started making fitted masks. So I have some nice fitted masks right here. There's a nice pink job, nice. I put a really pretty lining inside it. Oops, okay, here we go. The lining is really too loosely woven to be a good mask, but hey, I've still got it, I'm keeping it. And here's another fitted mask that I made. This fabric was left over from Shirley Crossman's colorful coat that she made. Oh, well, wait a minute. We made it for her several years ago. I put my fitted masks into a show that the Rising Star Quilters was putting on. The show was about what we've been doing since we've been home. That show was about March 31st. My masks were the last item in that small show. It seemed like midnight by the time I saw them. Later, someone sent me a link to a Zoom meeting about making masks and distributing them. I wish I'd been keeping track of what happened when. The end of March was a mashup of making masks, finding out what my sewing friends were doing, and making sense of a new life at a retirement community. In the meantime, I had tried making the Deaconess Hospital flat fitted mask. I have a few here to show you. I'd been giving them out to friends and family and to my new community here. Oh, here's a nice one. Okay, pleats going down. Really nice fabric. And then on the other side, I put several different fabrics because all of the leftovers from these flat pleated masks are rectangular, so easy to sew them back together and make another mask. Here's a nice orange one. Oh, I have to get this up here. And then on the other side, it's really interesting. I just start throwing them together, and then the turquoise went so nicely with the turquoise and the flowers and the orange. Whoops, no orange there, but the stripes really went well with the daisy flowers. And then there's some masks that I saved to send to the clinic where John has been working. It's a medical clinic located at Rosie's Place, and the women there are from Haiti and from Central American countries, and they really love the colorful masks that I make. At this point, I can't remember a thing about the first Zoom meeting that I went to. I know that Jessie Steigerwald was the organizer, and she'd already put together a lot of women who wanted to be involved. Sarah Sarah Russell and I had worked with Jessie during Lex 300 a few years ago, so we knew who she was. I didn't know that Corinne Steigerwald, who's Jessie's mother, had noticed the masks that I put in the Rising Star show. The connections continued. I was on the phone with Sarah Mannix, and pretty soon we had a group of sewists, as Jessie likes to call us. I like to say sewista. I think that's a nice term. There are some other people, some very intense sewers that I call sewinators. They have a particular style. The group that Jessie organized comes under the auspices of the Lexington Community Coalition. The smaller group making masks is the Coalition Mask Network. I see now that Jessie was creating a response team. I'm using David Beauvais' language. David is an expert in supply chains. He gave a First Parish Zoom talk a few weeks ago. The response team can swing into action fast. The group from First Parish is, I see David laughing. The group from First Parish is all women except for Ben Soul and John Schmitz. The larger group is primarily women home from work who are not interested in baking sourdough bread. There are about 200 people sewing and distributing. This all started at the end of March and grew. I want to mention now Dr. Rick Bright, the whistleblower. In January, Dr. Bright recommended that the federal government stock up on masks, and among other things. Personality clashes prevented that from happening. There's another story from a more successful story that comes from Illinois. There's a Planet Money podcast about this, episode 922, about a state agency changing their procedures so that they could spend $3 million to buy masks from a Chinese factory. At this point, the coalition has given out 16,795 free masks. That's as of last night. Yes, you can round that up to 17 plus 3 zeros. By tomorrow, it will be 17,000. After hearing David Beauvais' talk on supply chains, I realized what an important role our group is playing. We organized fast. We respond fast. We make masks fast. We deliver fast. We've received about $2,000 in donations. We can't buy very much with that. And so little has been purchased. The women have donated fabric, thread, and their time to make deliveries. There has been one consistent problem along the way: elastic. Consumption spike. Thank you, David. I have a whole new vocabulary. There was an article about an elastic company in Hudson, Massachusetts in the Boston Sunday Globe. That elastic is going to factories making masks. It's such a great story, though, I had to mention it, about an immigrant from the Azores who's been so successful. The elastic I am using is probably from China. One batch was from England. The sewers have used a variety of 1/4-inch elastic. However, by March it was in short supply. That's when I started. Sarah Mannix ordered a cone of elastic April 3rd. She was promised that it was delivered April 7th. She hasn't seen it yet. She thinks it's in quarantine. So I don't have a cone of elastic to show you, but a cone is about this tall. It's covered with 100 to 150 yards of elastic. It could be 1/8 inch elastic or maybe 1/4, if we're lucky, inch elastic. Just for contrast, this is a cone of thread. It had 2,000 yards of thread on it. And you see how much smaller it is, of course, because thread is so much smaller. So what you are ordering is cones, not the simple small package of 2.5 yards or maybe 8 yards that home sewers usually buy. I have used over 100 yards of elastic. I think that's amazing. There are many kinds of any width of elastic, some of very poor quality, and we've used them all. When you buy elastic online, which is where you buy it these days, you'll find that certain sizes are temporarily out of stock. These are sizes ranging from 1/4 inch to 1 1/4 inch wide. Talk about supply chain problems. And don't believe the delivery dates that are shown online. They're just promises. It's not true. Meanwhile, the sewers' conversations were about elastic and technique and fabric. Late one night, I realized how much this was about connections with people as well as about masks. It was no surprise that I came up with the word connections. This was the title that Helen Cohen had used for her column in the Focal Point while she was minister at First Parish. I read a lot of those columns. I find that my connections are with at least 5 different communities. The First Parish sewers that I've mentioned. The second group is the Rising Star Quilters Benefit Quilt Group. They are given bins and bins of fabric from people who are retiring or people who have died, and they've donated a lot of those bins to the Coalition Mask Network. The third group is the larger group of community of Lexington in the form of the Coalition Mask Network. The fourth group is my wider group of friends with connections to other parts of my life. And the fifth is my new retirement community. All these different communities help provide information on sewing as well as water cooler conversations. Information on the world of sewing and delivering masks and our more personal lives. And finding the organizations that want masks, that need masks. The coalition has created a spreadsheet to track the places that need masks, the number of masks that they need, the contact people, the contact person within the coalition. The coalition found that there was a range of acceptance of the homemade masks that ran from early backdoor delivery systems at hospitals to front door delivery and acceptance of the homemade masks. There are many organizations needing masks, from tiny anonymous groups to the Mount Auburn Hospital and Care Dimensions, which provides hospice care. For the last 3 months, the need has never slowed. It has only increased. I make masks with 2 sewing machines, a Singer Featherweight, the one right here in my background. This machine was made in the 1950s. It's incredibly reliable. My parents gave it to me in the early 70s, and I've been using it ever since. I also, this machine has made over 200 masks, at least 250, pushing 300. I also have a FAF Quilt Expression 4. This is the only machine I've ever purchased. It's a powerhouse. However, it expired shortly after 100 masks. Ben Soul, who I mentioned earlier, took my FAF along with his machine to Nashua Sew and back for repairs. The FAF is working well now. Because John and I are in a retirement community, there are limitations on what I can do. I've had to ask for help more than I usually would, whether it is elastic or a trip to the repair shop for my machine. I've also been sharing what I have: fabric, mostly expertise, and occasionally some elastic. I need to try to keep an equilibrium and spend time doing other things than sewing masks. I take a walk during the day. I do some gardening. I talk on the phone with friends. I talk with new friends who are here at the retirement community. Oh, and I make some small projects. Oh, this is best. This is a little 5x7-inch piece I made with with leftovers from the fitted masks, lots of curves going on there. And what the heck? Oh, here we go. Another piece on the back. Here's one using other leftovers. And some those rectangular pieces that are left over. Just a sec. John, can you turn yours down? Thank you. Now you've heard about many of my connections, and here they are plus a few more. There are so many. All those people who call me and the ones that I call them. What lifesavers. Rising Star Quilters Benefit Quilt Group. I volunteer with them, and they just donated, like I said, so much fabric. Public radio to keep me entertained while sewing with music, and Megma Chakrabarty with her interviews. WZLX for golden oldies and for playing Pink Floyd when I needed it. The Coalition Mask Network. Nashua Sew and Vac for maintaining my FAF. My parents, particularly my mother, who taught me how to sew. She said I was a cyclone when I was a child. You'd never know it now, but she needed something to keep me busy. And she taught me how to sew with such great kindness. What a great thing. It was just wonderful. And my father, who helped give me the Singer Featherweight, would have appreciated the design of the featherweight and the mechanics of it. It was great that everybody shared elastic with me, and they still do. I appreciate Ben Soul, who picked up and dropped off. David Beauvais for his talk about supply chains. My daughter, the MBA, informed me that everything is about supply chains. And last of all, John Schmitz, who loaned me his desk in our tiny new home and turns masks and is my #1 supporter and cheerleader. That's it.
Thank you, Amy, for your talk. Very interesting and cheerful. And now we can open up the floor for questions, comments to anybody who would like to participate. In the participants icon at the bottom, you can raise your hand. And we have a question or a comment here from Judy Cole.
Judy.
Judy?
Hi, Judy.
Amy.
Yes.
That was a wonderful talk. And I'm just blown away with the extended network of all of you. I knew you were doing it with a group. You know, I had no idea it was so extensive. Now, as you know, I don't sew.
You used to.
Years ago. By the way, Amy has for years shared her sewing ability with small gifts to good friends. Thank you for that. But Amy, what can someone like me do I guess I'm asking about money. Can I send money? And would it help? Because what else could I do to help this wonderful project?
There are lots of volunteers working with the Coalition Mask Network, and I can give you links to those people. If you send me an email later, I can do that for you. Yeah. If you have fabric left over, you can donate that.
We have now a question for from Linda Brown. Linda?
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Linda.
I just want to comment that I've been making masks, and Amy's been a great support to me. Also, I've been making a quilt, and Amy's been giving me enormous help, and she really does have amazing expertise with sewing. So I also want to mention that I've gotten a lot of elastic from Freddie Farkles, and I know you're not a big fan of their elastic, but,
Not the best elastic, but we use that too. Absolutely.
yes, and they told me that they're an essential service, so they're always open because they're supplying fabric and elastic to people who are making masks. So.
Yes. Do you have one of your masks to show?
Well, I have my doggy one.
Linda has very unique masks.
Yes, my
I
doggy.
tell her it's a niche product. There we go. She has another one with lots of hair on it.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Okay, so now we have a question from David Bobet.
Thank you, David Bowie.
Oh, hi, Amy. Wonderful talk. Thank you so much. And your designs are beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
I just had, I had a question for you. Do these designs come in different sizes? I find sometimes the loops around the ears are very tight and it's a little uncomfortable.
What I do is I attach a tie between these, so the elastic, pieces of elastic, so that it can be worn above the ears. You can use a shoestring for that also, if you have spare shoestrings. Somebody in the outside world from where I live is Sarah Mannix. She might have some ties.
Interesting. Thank you.
Or we can arrange a drop-off.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you so much, David. You should have seen me after David's talk. I was on the phone with Sally Russell, and I was hanging from the ceiling. This is what it's all about.
We have now a question from Don Cohen.
It's actually from Helen.
Okay.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Thank you so very much. I
You're
love your
welcome.
creativity. I love your humor. And I love your artistic eye and ability. It's just amazing. And I also appreciated getting another view of connections. I mean, that is a word that means a lot to me, but to see the way that you've understanding the world and reframing the world as a place for connections through something like this is really very wonderful. I am a non-sewer, so this is not something I've gotten into, but I can tell you that as you were talking and showing those different masks, that I was thinking of my sister Anne, one of my
Yes.
older sisters who unfortunately died a couple years ago, but who was a quilter, a very serious quilter, and did wonderful things. I loved watching her develop over the years. And she had a room full of, what do you call them? The pieces of material.
Yes, material, fabric. It's great.
Fabric.
Yes.
Yeah, but just piles and piles and piles. And her husband a couple of years to find places to give it to. But I suspect
Yes.
if there was any left, it's now being used. And so, you know, it makes me think of her and how much she too, because of her, she's also a very giving, generous person, would have been
Yes.
busy being part of the connections, making masks. So I really
Yes.
thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of her work. Yes.
We have now a question from Mona.
Where's Mona? Oh,
Mona?
oh, there. Oh, yes. Oh, she's muted.
Okay. Mona, can you unmute? There we go. Okay.
Oh,
I
no.
think we're there.
There's an unmute button.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So I saw a video that was showing how to make these masks that it was supposed to make it really easy. And they are. You need to get some sort of cord or shoelace or something.
Mhm.
And they just go over your head and hang down. And then you pull the cords and you just put it on like this.
Yes.
And if anyone would like to try it, I have tons of cord if anyone wants. I'd be happy to share. But
Thank
thank you.
you.
It was a wonderful talk.
Thank you. Thanks, Mona. Yeah, there are a lot of different styles of masks out there.
We have now a question from Carolyn.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Amy and everybody. Hello. This has really been a lot of fun. I have a question, Amy, about which mask we used to call them the curvy mask.
Oh,
or the flat mask. Which one is in more use and more desired?
Oh gosh.
Does it matter? Maybe it doesn't.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, the fitted or curvy mask. Curvy is Jesse's word.
Right. Okay. It describes it well, though.
Yes, it does. It does. They take longer for me to make, and there's a lot of wasted fabric when you make those as well. And it's great for my collection for making the small projects. However, when I make the Deaconess flat folded mask, it's fast.
Yeah.
And
are people putting filters in them nowadays, or is that considered not necessary?
some people are, and some places ask for masks that would have another layer here so that you can put the filter in. I'm thinking in August, that's going to be really, really hot.
Yeah, like today.
Like today, yes, and tomorrow.
Before I leave, I just want to say hi to your daughter, I think she's on this.
Yes, she is.
I don't think I've seen her since she was in high school.
Yes.
But hello. Hello, Kate. Nice to you're in the same room with us.
It's really great to see all of you.
Where did she?
And
is that you?
There you are.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all sweaty. It's hot here too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting my mom like this. I know how much that means to her.
It really does. Thank you. And for Kate to be here, it's great.
We have time for one last question, comment, if anybody has one. Well, I think.
Okay. Can I thank everybody? Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening to me. If you want more information, get in touch with me. I can send you all kinds of information. Jessie Steigerwald is here also. Yeah, she's our leader. She's doing a fantastic job. Greta Hagen is here also from the Urban Ministry.